Representative Tom Murry is a primary sponsor of voter ID legislation. Thanks for being on the show. Your House Speaker, Tom Tillis, says this one should hold up to court scrutiny. Are you anticipating some courtroom action on this if you pass it?
I would expect litigation, but I would also expect successful litigation on our side, because we have carefully crafted this legislation with input and looking at what other states have done that have passed muster as well. And I think we've done a good job to bring a balanced solution to something that 75% of voters in North Carolina agree with.
You've had a public hearing, 2 days of those, with one coming up next week scheduled, as Tim Moore has said. What's the purpose of the public hearing when you've made clear throughout all the campaigns past that you knew what you wanted to do with voter ID?
Well, now we've got a bill for them to talk about. And so instead of just talking in the abstract on concepts about voter ID, now we have an actual bill that they're going to be able to look at and comment on and improve it through the process. And that's what I expect. And that's how you do good legislation. And that's why we're having that public hearing this week.
Have you found any of the critics have tried to work with you to morph the bill to make it more acceptable, or do you see that it's galvanized? Either you're for this or you're against it, no matter the terms.
I've had several conversations with groups and organizations and people that represent them that say, we are going to ideologically oppose this legislation. Here are some ideas that you might want to include to improve the legislation, even though we're going to be ideologically opposed. That's a good conversation to have, and I'm willing to have those conversations to make sure we're getting the policy right, even though I know ideologically they're going to oppose us, and they're going to be in the minority when they do that.
I'm not in the business of counting votes, but with the supermajority in both houses and a governor who wants voter ID, let's just assume voter ID is on a safe track. There's no filibuster or anything of that nature. It becomes law under this bill. I go to the precinct to vote. Is there someone at the door checking my ID like you're going to a nightclub, or do you go up, say your name, declare as you do, and then show your ID? How does this process play out?
That would be, the only thing we're changing to the current process. You would go in, say your name, they would do an address verification, and then they would ask for your photo ID at the polling location. And so we're just adding the photo ID presentation requirement to the existing process on how you go vote right now.
What happens if somebody shows up there and they either throw an ID that looks suspicious, or they say, oh, I forgot my wallet, it's in the car? What do you do then?
They can vote a provisional ballot if the ID doesn't bear a reasonable resemblance to the voter. The process from that point involves the chief judge. There's a chief judge at every precinct, and there is a determination, and it has to be unanimous, and we want to construe it in the light most favorable to the voter. We don't want to take that voter's franchise away on spurious disputes on whether that picture looks exactly like you. I'm sure you might have changed a little bit since your picture might have been taken, even though you're still a very handsome man.
Maybe if I've lost weight or something.
That's right, or a beard, or those kind of things. But it's going to be construed in a light most favorable to the voter, and it's going to, and there is a process at the precinct to do that.
How will this affect voter turnout, the ability of someone to vote? Have you looked at any numbers? Will it be drastic? Will there be any effect at all?
I think the best state to look at is Georgia. That's Georgia has the most similar demographics to the state of North Carolina, both from minorities and just from an overall total population, voter population. And their minority turnout has increased all the way up through 2012. So it's not just, it's every presidential year and every off-year election, minority percentage has increased post-voter photo ID. And so I think we can experience similar results, and I don't think anybody's franchise is going to be taken away, but we are going to improve integrity while we're doing this.
Representative Tom Murry, Wake County, thanks for being on the show.
Thanks for having me. Good to have you.